Hi, this is Katrina from Woodrow Handcrafts in Gympie, and in today's tutorial we're going to be making a lady beetle using the Janome Digitizer MBX 4.5 software. So the first step that we have done, we've opened the program, we've opened a new page up here, we have selected which machine we're going to be using, and we've selected which hoop we're going to be using. So for today we're going to be using the Horizon 15,000, and the hoop that we're going to use is the SQ14. So the next step now is to bring in the image. So go up to Image, Insert Image, and the image that we're using today comes from the embroidery album that comes with the software. So we're going to scroll through until we find our lady beetle, and we're going to click Open. So we're not going to adjust any sizes, we're just going to leave it the size that it is. So the next step is we're going to zoom in because we want to work on the head. When I digitize, I like to get nice and close. So you can see image nice and big, and you get more detail. So first of all, with the head, we're going to go over here and we're going to select our parallel weave tool. So this is over here on the left hand side. You'll see that there's parallel satin fill, and there's a tiny little arrow here. So we're going to click on this little arrow, and that will bring out our toolbar. So in this toolbar we've got all our different fills that we can use. So we've got satin, weave, embossed, motif, etc. So we're going to use our weave tool. So we're going to click on that one, and we want to click on black. Okay, so now we're going to create his head. So I'm going to start in the corner here, and I'm going to follow the outline of his head all the way around. So what we're going to do with the mouse is our first click is going to be a left hand click, and then the next one is going to be a right. So we're going to click with the right side, click with the right side again. So see that there, that has now created a curve through there. So we're going to click with the right, and right again, and again, all the way around until we've done the head. So when we get around here, because this here is a right angle, we're going to click on the left side of the mouse, and then we're going to go along here. So we go right, 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 and left. Once we've got back to the beginning, we then hit enter, and that's created the stitches for his head. So the next step now, what we want to do is, because we're creating the head and then we're going to create the little bit of black on his body down the bottom here, in here, what we want to do is we want to create a running stitch. So we want, when we stitch it out, we want this part to stitch out, and then we want it to run down here, which will be under the red stitches, and stitch out the black part. So to see where our stitches start and finish, we want to go over here to our resequencing tool and click on his head. We're going to go down to here now to reshape objects. Okay, so when we bring that up, zoom in a bit here, you can see that there's a diamond here, and then there's a star. So what the diamond does is represents where your stitches start, and the star represents where your stitch finishes. So we want to move this little star over here to the starting point. So you bring your mouse in until it changes. So it's changed now. Click down on your left hand side, and we're going to drag that all the way over here to the starting position. So now when that stitches out, that will stitch out and start and finish at the same spot. So now we click off of that, because the next step is we want to create our running stitch. So to create our running stitch, we're going to come over here where the symbol says satin line, and we want to drop out that toolbar on that one because we just want a straight stitch. So we want the single run line. We're going to click on that, check that we're still in black, and see these little squares here. What that is that represents where your last stitch finishes. So we want to start there, so we click there and bring down here to the black bit and click there. Once we've done that, enter, and that will create our running line. So you can see now that the little squares have moved down. So that's where our last stitch will finish that we've created so far. So the next step is we want to create all this in here, this black body part. So what we're going to do is we're going to come over here and we're going to select a parallel weave tool, check that we've got black, come in nice and close, and we're going to start where that last stitch finished. So the first point is here, so we go click left, right, 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 left. So what that did there is create that curve. So now we're going to come across the back of him now. So we've gone right, and right again, right, and then left. So that's created that curve. So we're going to go right click, right click, right click, right click, and then left. Once we get back to the beginning, we can then hit enter and zoom out. So now you can see that we've got his body. So the reason that we created those two first is to give him some depth. So when you're looking at him from above, you'll see that his body sits underneath his wings. So by doing the black first, we're creating that depth. So once we've done that, we click off. We're going to select a parallel weave fill, and we're going to change it to red. So see where our stitch is finished down here? We're going to come down to this corner. And we're going to start here. So you go right click, left, so we're going to select our parallel weave tool, and then we're going to change to red. So we're going to start down in this corner here. So we're going to go left click and right click, right click, right click, right click, and we want to follow that right click all the way around those curves. So when we come up over here, we're just going to overlap it just a little bit so we don't have any gaps. So see how by using that right click there, it's creating that curve around that edge. If you use the left click, you'd be getting jagged little lines. So now we're coming to that right angle, so we're going to go left click, and right click, right click, right again, all the way up to that center point. So go right, and then left, left again, and then right back out. And then left click. So now that we're back to the start, we can hit enter and zoom out. So if we go up here and turn our display image off, that gets rid of the image from behind, so you can just see the stitches through there now. So what we need to do now is we need to go over to our resequencing tool, select the wings, and we're going to go down here to reshape object. So you can see here when we go down to reshape object, we're starting over here but we're finishing over here. What we want to do is we want to bring our little X over to where we start on that point there. So when we go to do our next step and create our satin border, there will be no jumping across your design. Red will finish doing your weave fill through here, and then it will start automatically with your satin fill. So we're starting here. So we want to go over here to where our single run line is, click out our icons, and we're going to change that to a satin line. So we've got satin line selected, check that we're still on red, and we're going to start at this point here. So we're going to go left click, right click, right click, right again, right, and we're going to follow that line around. So see how we've just come in on the inside of it? When you do your satin border, if you come just on the inside, that will help prevent any gaps between your embroidery. So when you go to stitch it out, sometimes you'll see designs where you've got a whole lot of fill stitch and then someone's done a border around the outside and there's a big gap between the border and the outline. So we've got left click in the corner again, and then right click up in here, follow it around, and back to the beginning. Enter. So that's given us now our satin border. You can see in the middle here how you've got quite a defined point and it stretches right out. So what we want to do is we're going to go through and adjust that. So click on your satin outline, go down to your reshaping tool and zoom in. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're just going to click on the little square there and we're going to bring it back. So So you still want it to cover that gap, like so. Bring it this way a little bit. Zoom out. There we go. So the next step we are going to do is we're going to change that now to an embossed fill. So we want to select our background again. So we go over to our resequencing tool, click on the red weave fill, and then we're going to come down here to object details. So click on object details, and you'll see here it says stitch type. So it's currently set on a weave fill, so we're going to change that to an embossed fill, and the pattern that we're going to use is going to be triangles 2. Triangles 2, and OK. So you can see now that that has given it a bit of texture in his background. Okay. Now what we're going to do is we're going to put in our little black dots on his back. So now that we've gone through and created all these stitches, you can't see the little black dots very well. So what we're going to do is we're going to come up here and we're going to display stitches and we're going to turn it off. So we've still got all our stitches here that we've created, because you can see it in the resequencing tool over on the right hand side here, but we've just turned them off so we can see our image behind clearly now. So we're going to zoom in to our circles, and then over on the left hand side we're going to select parallel weave fill in a circle. So click on that one, make sure we've got black selected. Now to create the circles, you want to find about the center of the circle, left click, hold your left click on your mouse down and drag it out until you've created the size that you want to create, like so. Now that we've created the circles, we're going to go back up here to our display stitches and turn them on. So now we can see. So if we zoom out to 100%, okay, so once we've created our circles, what we're going to do now is come up here and turn our display stitches back on. We're going to zoom out to 100%, and you can see now that he's got his little black dots on his back. So what we're going to do now is go over here to the resequencing tool, and we're going to start with our first circle. We're going to come down here and we're going to rotate. So when we rotate, we want to rotate it 3 times. So 1, 2, 3. Select the next one. 1, 2, 3. Again. 1, 2, 3. 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And then click off. So if we go up here now and we turn our image display off, you can see the stitches that we've created. So what we've got left now is these little antlers to do. So we're going to turn our image back on. We're going to go over here to parallel weave fill, and we want to click out the toolbar. and we're going to change that to a satin fill. So we've got satin fill selected, we've checked that it's black, and we're going to zoom in on those antlers. So we're going to start down here with a left click, up here to a left click, then we want a right, and a left, left, and enter. So we're going to come to this side, left click, right click, left click, back to the beginning, and enter. So you can see now with these antennae that the one on the right hand side, the stitches are going the wrong way. So you can see how this one here is a nice smooth satin stitch, but this one's a bit raggedy edged type thing. So what we're going to do is we're going to select on that in our resequencing tool. We're going to come down to our object details, and then where it says here with our parallel fill, we're going to click on that, and that's the angle that that stitch is on. So we're going to change that. We want to change that angle to 140 degrees and press OK. So you can see now that it's smoothed it out and made it a nice satin stitch. So we're going to zoom out to 100%. Turn our image display off. And now our little lady beetle is finished. So now what we do is we go up to File, Save As, find the folder that you want to put your designs that you've created into. So you can put it in your libraries, in your documents, rename it, and save. And that's how you create the lady beetle.